I recently woke up, maybe within the last 10 or 15 minutes, and yesterday I visited a yoga studio in a city next to me, and I saw some people that I haven't seen in years. I was very excited, and they had this was like a studio who used to like with people that used to belong to a studio that just was iconic, that made a massive difference in my life. And they let me know that like there's a lot of people who were regulars before at an old studio that they worked at that weren't coming to this one. I was very surprised. So I was super excited, like, you know what, maybe I can help them out with marketing. So I like, during the yoga class, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like, I feel confident. I know this is gonna work. And I sent out an email, and I didn't get a response yesterday, but I got a response this morning, and I saw it. And they had shed some more light on the situation and where they were at, in their headspace, and didn't seem like they're, I don't say it didn't seem like the decisions not to move forward with me helping out with marketing. And it's interesting because that was not I was not expecting that, and I was like, ooh, that didn't feel good, did not feel good. And it's like, hey, you know what? It's part of the process. It's part of the process. When I was doing door to door, you can knock on 60 doors, and other people who do open, like, you can get all of them can say no. All of them can say no. And you'll get some people who would be even angry. So, I'm just reminding myself, like, hey, you know what? Quote unquote rejection is part of the journey. And you know what? And that's okay too. That is okay too. And just trusting that what is best for you will come to you. However, in the moment, it's like, okay, damn, okay, I feel this. And that is okay. That is okay. So I'm putting some thought into what I want my YouTube banner to be. Actually, yeah, I've been putting some thought into what I want my YouTube banner to be. Right, like, what's the tagline behind connection artist? And and I haven't been putting in, or at least I've been attempting not to put in a lot of conscious effort into this. I've been allowing answers to rise up from my subconscious, and I guess strike a eureka moment. And within that process, I'm reading Rick Rubin's book on, it's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being, which I love. And it's more than just how to operate creatively. It's more like how to live life, with peace and grace and in creation. And I went to use the restroom, like around 5 in the morning, and I was going to sleep, and then boom, like a eureka moment, boom, and then it's like, fuck, I gotta get out of my bed. I gotta start writing this shit down. I gotta start writing this shit down. I must have got out of my bed 4 or 5 times. I put my phone across the room, so when my alarm goes off, I'm forced to actually physically get out of bed to turn it off. I feel okay about what I've written down. I'll share that with you. I'm about to do some yoga and then some meditation. Then I'm gonna run one specific errand today. And but I think answers come to me during meditation, sometimes in yoga as well. I'm not going to go on with the expectation. I'm going to go on with the expectation of really just connecting with myself, really just centering myself and breathing. But here's some things that I wrote down that just was like, oh, okay, I need to write this shit down immediately. Don't shut yourself off from possibility. Make the connection between you and the world again. Again, these were taglines. What am I going to put on the YouTube banner? What is it I want the message that I want to spread into the world? And what just feels right, even though like, so I have my friend who his name is Lorenzo, and his Instagram tag is Master Connector. We're both connectors. I guess you can say, right? Like, I have a huge network, he has a huge network, and he calls himself Master Connector. And his tagline is, I take the best people, as I connect the best people to the best ideas to come together to make the world a better place while making a little bit of money in the process. That's something along those lines. And when you hear that, you're like, oh, okay, like I have a general idea as far as what he does. Okay, that's awesome. It's practical. I was talking to him yesterday on the phone, and he said, yeah, man, if you want, you can use that too. It's not like I have a monopoly on that, that catchphrase. You can also use that. And initially I was like, oh, yeah, I can use that as a placeholder. But then I was like, that doesn't really sit right for me specifically. It doesn't really fit right for me. So I'm thinking, on one end, I want it to be practical, whatever the line is, because it's not just what the YouTube banner is going to be, it's how I'm going to communicate myself when I meet people as well. It's like, when you're talking to business owners, people are inevitably going to ask you, what do you do? And that is a moment where you make connections in their head, because at least the entrepreneurs that I hang out with, and I want to spend more time with other entrepreneurs who are similar like this, where entrepreneurs who are givers, entrepreneurs who I can add value to, and they also want to add value to me. And if I can make that connection in terms of what it is I actually do, it makes it more likely for them to want to send business to me. It makes it more likely for them to want to do business with me. The right ones, right? If, like, God forbid, there's an opportunity where there's tremendous synergy between two parties, and there's a failure of communication of value, where something that could have been awesome and beneficial doesn't happen. But oftentimes, what I've realized is people who I want in my life, it's there's also like the energy connection. So even if right off the bat there's not like this clear, oh yeah, we can help each other out this way, there's still like, okay, hey, we're connected, and yeah, we definitely want to talk more in the future. So there's always that fall back on energy, but you definitely don't want something vague, or I won't say something vague. You definitely want something that people can understand, right? People can at least put their finger on, or something that at the very least, elicits curiosity. And that's what I want to do. Like, generally, like, okay, I can understand, and there's curiosity behind it. So okay, so let's continue down here. So it says, so I put some more taglines. Just be aware where you're shutting yourself off from possibility. Reconnect with possibility. Here's this isn't a tagline here, but this is something that I realized. Confidence is unconscious. Okay, reconnect with the world of possibility, connecting with possibility through awareness, bringing awareness to possibility, bringing awareness to the infinite. And then it's like, oh, what do you do, right? It's like, oh, I help facilitate connection. And then that was all that really came to me. So what I do like is, I do like this idea of aware. I like the words reconnect. I like the words I like the word possibility, and I like the word awareness. So reconnect, possibility, and awareness. Those are three words that I do like out of the what I've written down here. I also like the phrase world of possibility. I also like the one of the phrases, make the connection between you and the world again. So the reason why I like so far, why I like things like reconnect with possibility, is I saw this girl at the gym yesterday. She came with a group of three people. It was her, another girl, and a dude. And one of the girls, she was really cute, and she had a nice body. And I I felt attracted to her, and just immediately I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go talk to her like I'm working out, right? Or whatever it is. But it's just like, wait a second, bro. Like, you just shut yourself off from possibility, though. Like, who knows? That guy could be her friend. She could be single, or um, who knows? But it's like, hey, let's reconnect with possibility. Like, you're the one that shut yourself off from that possibility. It's like, okay, hey, let's bring awareness to that next time. Let's reconnect with that, because oftentimes, I can be the person who rejects myself, and I'm the person who says, no, she blank. Maybe she's with, uh, uh, as I mentioned, she was working out with some dude, but that guy can be your friend, right? Like, I'm working out with my little sister. She can be working out with a family member, someone who she friend zone, or that could be her boyfriend, and that's okay too. There's a lot, right? But the point is, it's like, hey, you know what? Let's bring some awareness back to, like, hey, you know what? There's a possibility that this can work. And that brings me back to the yoga studio. It's like, hey, you know what? There's a possibility that it can work. Like, halfway between wakefulness and asleep, I was like, you know what? I have neighbors, right? And we don't even know what their names are. It's like, I had the idea as far as, like, hey, just going up to their door, knocking on their door, and just introducing myself, and exchanging contacts, because you never know. They might have an emergency. They might need somebody one day, and they don't have anyone to call on that's nearby. So, and you never know, like, how much you can get along with them, or you might not get along with them whatsoever. But it's like, it's creating opportunities. It's bringing awareness to possibility. It's like, oh, hey, you know what? Let's open ourselves up to the world more. Let's bring some awareness to what else can we do to potentially facilitate more connections and relationships and synergies, and who knows what can bring forth from this. So it's raining today. I love that, right? It's like, there's that excuse, right? It's raining today. Let me cut myself off from possibility. It's raining. I'm not gonna knock in the rain. Ridiculous. So that's something I want to do today. There's two neighbors in particular who I want to connect with, because there's a neighbor that I have who, they I say hello to them, but they don't say hello back, and and over the years, it seems like they are standoffish. So, and that's totally fine. That is totally fine. Some people want to be left alone, and I don't have a problem with leaving people who want to be left alone, and that's okay. That's okay. And the thing is, right? You never know what someone's going through, right? Something could possibly have happened to that led them to move next to us, where they had some shit happen with some other neighbors, or they may have had some shit going on with black people, or maybe just inside, maybe they feel shy and timid, maybe they have social anxiety, maybe they're scared of being hurt, maybe they're afraid of opening themselves. And but there's so much, right? There's so many different possibilities, and that's okay, you know going back to the door to door thing, like, not everybody is going to say yes. Most people are going to say no to you, and that's okay. And I think it's a natural state of being a human, where rejection does sting. Rejection does hurt. You take, sometimes you take it personally. What was it about me? What did I do? And and sometimes it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. So that's why I'm grateful for door to door, because I feel like it's helped with the connection artist reality, which is a lot of people you're not even gonna jive with. So anyway, I'm gonna do some yoga now. I'm gonna do some meditation. I'm gonna continue to bring awareness into my day, and um and read and enjoy and just be grateful. And the biggest thing is just be aware and conscious of how I feel, accept how I feel, and enjoy the present moment. I just finished doing some yoga and some meditation, and also some journaling. And inevitably the thought comes up in terms of what the tagline is for connection artist. And I am aware that answers do come to me when it comes to yoga and meditation. However, not going into these practices with an expectation of receiving insight, and going into these practices with only the intention to connect with myself. You can also say going into the practice with the intention of centering myself. So I noticed during my yoga practice that my conscious brain would start to think about the tagline and what that looks like. So I just had to keep redirecting my breath to my body, my attention to my breath and my body. And right after, instead of going straight into meditation, I had to become aware. I wanted to write it down in terms of, hey, like we're not going into this with expectation of receiving anything. We're not gonna have any expectation of anything besides centering ourselves, or centering myself specifically. And I was writing out some stuff about connection artists, and I realized that it's not necessarily just a tagline to put on a banner for YouTube that represents what the YouTube channel is about. But really, it's almost like a tagline for my way of being. It's a tagline for, or it's a phrase for a for that basically just encapsulates how I want to live my life. And that's what I realized, something that encapsulates my values and how I want to move through this world. So that was very interesting, and I feel good about that, right? Because it's not necessarily about, I've been visualizing the banner. What does that look like? I've been imagine the words. I imagine, I've been working out what the background may look like, and instead it's like, hey, you know what? I'm actually finding something a little bit more deeper than just a YouTube banner, and I'm finding something a little bit more deeper than just a YouTube channel. So it's cool. Just one thing that I really enjoy about this is the process of figuring it out, and becoming more aware of my thinking patterns, my behavior patterns, but just mostly like just bringing awareness into my life. And I love the idea of bringing awareness, because when I had microdose on mushrooms in February last year, I one thing that mushrooms did was really bring awareness to my life. It really brought a lot of awareness to my life, and it helped me become aware of like patterns that I would do every day, thinking patterns, behavior patterns that I wasn't even aware that I was doing. I wasn't even aware. Just the incessant, the chatter I would have in my brain all the time, and it was just on autopilot. It was just on autopilot. And with my yoga practice and now my meditation practice, I don't know, I might be 5 days into meditation, 6 days into meditation, something like that. I'm like 28 days into doing yoga every day, and these and also journaling. These have really brought a lot of awareness to myself and my life, and I feel like I wouldn't be able to course correct as effectively if I wasn't first aware of the patterns that I was running that I want to correct, or not necessarily correct, but patterns that I would like to change. So, as of right now, I do like the phrase bring awareness to possibility because I feel like I tell myself, well, let me rephrase that. I feel like in the past, and when I say in the past, I don't mean a year ago, I don't mean, a long time ago or weeks ago. When I say in the past, I mean before this moment. So that includes 1 hour ago, that includes 30 minutes ago, that includes 10 minutes ago. So in the past, I like that language, and I'm going to explain why I like that language in a second. But in the past, I wasn't aware of how much I said I couldn't. Not necessarily I couldn't, but how I would automatically shut myself off from opportunities without even realizing it. So bring awareness to possibility. It's like, wait a second, hey, let's bring some more awareness to our life as we're living it, and let's be aware to how we show up to different situations. Let's be aware of where am I cutting myself off from possibility. So I do like that phrase for myself, and we'll see. We'll let things unravel, more, and maybe I will feel more strongly about it. And I'm like, hey, I'll make my decision in terms of, hey, um, this is a very strong value in terms of what I want to embody moving forward in my life, and also leaving room to for, hey, if something better comes, a different phrase that really hits my heart more, not being super attached to the previous one, and be like, hey, you know what, this one feels a little bit better, and maybe this one feels good right now, and it gets me to the next phrase, whatever that is. And yeah, so I do feel like just the nature of the world is evolution. You can say whatever it is you want, but flowers are blooming no matter what. Flowers are dying no matter what. Cells are replicating no matter what. Things are constantly happening. Things are constantly changing, evolving, no matter what. It's the truth. It's the truth. So why is it that I like the phrase in the past? When I was at an event called the Genius Network annual event, uh, ran by Joe Polish. I remember I stood up and I asked the question, how can I monetize my network? How can I make money from my network? And I talked a little bit about what I've done, just in terms of, I mentioned my age as well. Reason why I mention my age is I know that entrepreneurs who are 10, 20, 30, 40 years plus, when they hear someone's in their 20s, it seems like there's this switch that goes off in their brain in terms of wanting to help and wanting to contribute. So I did that very intentionally, and I must have said some other phrase in there, but I remember there was a guy who came up to me afterwards. His name is Michael Burnoff. He teaches sales and influence, and I remember we were talking about the language I was using when I asked the question, and I responded to him with, "Oh no, I blank," and he goes, "No, no, no. In the past, you blank, right? You no longer do this thing that doesn't serve you. In the past, you did that. You no longer do that." And language is so important when it comes to everything. The language you use to describe the breakfast you had, the language you use to describe your life, the language you use to describe your childhood, the language you use to describe your relationships, it holds power. And the world is just the world. The world is, right? The world is and the world isn't, right? It's your perception of the world that makes it good, bad, ugly, beautiful, sad, all this other kind of stuff. everything is within your brain. You color this world. You give perception to this world. And with that, language holds power. You must be careful with the language you use because at least for me I want my language to bring me the most peace in my life, the most grace, and also helps me feel better about myself and great about the life that I'm living and great about the life that I have lived so far. So, connection artists bring awareness to possibility. That's what I like so far. I gotta, I got a couple things I gotta get done, and then seems like that'll be a wrap for the day. So I'm so glad I got to center myself. If if this video was helpful in any way for you or you enjoyed it, just give this video a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. And subscribe just to be part of the journey. As I'm unraveling my own journey, I hope to help you unravel yours and help you listen to what feels right for you and what feels good in your hearts. So that's it. See you in the next one.